Hello, welcome to the Parents and Residential meeting. For those of you that missed the face-to-face, I'm going to do a brief run through of what was discussed on the night. So on the day we leave, you can arrive at school from 8:30, bringing all of the big bags down into the hall. By the double doors on the way into the hall will be a table set up with one of the teachers there, and that is where you'll sign in all medicine that's needed for the week. On the day of leaving, children will need a packed lunch and a fairly hardy water bottle that can last all week because we take that water bottle out on all of the excursions. Prior to the trip, I will send out forms or something like the forms on Edgelink, asking for medical details, dietary requirements, and all that information. If you could just glance your eyes over it on that table that I've just referenced, just to check that all the information is still correct, and then sign your name and hand over any said medicine. We aim to leave about 9 o'clock, so you're very welcome to hang around, preferably outside of school once you've dropped the children off and the bags. Hang around outside of school and wave the children off. Please do note that once the bus arrives, there is a bit of a loading time because no doubt we'll be taking enough kit for about 3 weeks. So it does take a little bit of a jigsaw underneath the bus fitting all of the bags in. It's around about 4 hour trip. The driver, we normally stop at the service station to allow the driver to have a break. Children are welcome to peruse the shops, so I'll come on to money later on, but they do have freedom of the service station. Once we've arrived, I'll inform the school, and they will send out a message to say that we've arrived all safely. As I've mentioned before, the lunch for the trip down would be great if it was in a disposable bag and just items that are easy to throw away. I don't particularly want to keep hold of any food or have any pots with remnants of food in for an entire week. When we arrive, we will do a safety walk and we'll show the children where's out of bounds, where all the facilities are. We'll do a walk around the actual site itself so that children orientate and familiarise themselves where they are. There will be another school there, so we'll show the other buildings where the school will be, but at no point do our paths cross. We'll be in the camping area and the other school will be in the main building. We will then allocate tents very carefully, as it says there, and we will tell the children where the adults are sleeping should there be an emergency during the night. We'll then go have a look at where the shower block is and where the toilets are for the camping area. But most of all, it's just to orientate the children and just have a little walk around after a 4 hour bus ride. The tents where we are staying are big bell tents. It tends to be a maximum of 8, but that is pretty much at capacity. So I recommend anything from sort of 3 through to about 6, because if you're a 2 is a bit lonely, and anything above 6 it does get a little bit cramped with all of the bags. But they're pretty tall, so I can stand up in the middle of them. There's plenty of room for 6 children plus the kit bags. You can see there's buckets in the picture there for shoes, but it is very much it's the children's job to look after them and put away clothes when they're finished and get clothes out ready for the day ahead. There are 12 tents in total, all of the same design, on a bit of an incline. So again, like I said before, teachers will have their names pegged up to one of the guide ropes in case of emergencies. So, general timings of each day. Breakfast. We have a room called the Hive, which you can see in the picture here, and that is purely for our use for all meal times. Breakfast is toast and cereal and plenty of fruit and some yogurt, so children can help themselves until they are bursting, basically. It's very much a serve yourself type of arrangement. The After lunch, it all gets after breakfast, it all gets cleaned away, and we make our own lunch. So it'd be wonderful if children could have a little practice at using cling film and buttering bread. So the children will butter their own bread, move round, choose whether they want ham, cheese, jam, tuna, or some salad, and then they go and fill their lunch bags, which are provided, by the way, with chocolate and crisps and an apple or orange, depending on the fruit of the day, and then the bags are put to one side. Once we return from any of the excursions or the day on site, we then have our evening meal once we've washed up and cleaned ourselves up, and the food is pretty much child's heaven. It's sort of bangers and mash, a very mild curry and rice, spaghetti bolognese, those sorts of things, and the food portions are plentiful. So the children in the evening will not go hungry. I do operate a take what you want, but eat what you take. So I'm not a big fan of scraping food into a bin. So the children, they take whatever they feel like they need, but they are expected to sort of finish their plates. Also, children will be in small groups to run each meal time. So it'll be little groups of 2 or 3, and they will do the setting up of the cutlery and the packing away. Due to numbers, it'll probably only be once in the week. Which is good again in terms of this is all about independence and setting up, and we are one class, so again we eat together. None of us leave until the final person has finished. That's really unfair on the last person who collects their food. So we eat together, we clean up together, we do everything together. We are a team for this whole week. Here is the provisional activities for the week away. So the children will be in 3 groups, team 1, 2 and 3, and they'll all be doing the same activity, just at different times. So after arrival and after the orientation, we do some team challenges on the gardens of the site. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the children will do the same activities, just in a slightly different order. So caving is off-site. So there'll be a minibus trip, hence the need for a good sturdy water bottle. There is also gorge walking, again off-site again. So another minibus trip, and then the stand-up paddle boarding and the high ropes with zip line are on site. So that's a little bit easier to run that day because there's not the rush to jump on a minibus, grab your kit and go. That one's on site. And then the final morning, because we are in such a beautiful area, it's a really good chance to go on a small hill walk, see the sights, explore the natural surroundings. So just a few pictures there. There's me caving, so it proves that even us adults can get through it all. There's pictures of gorge walking from before. Gorge walking is pretty much finding some nice slippy, mossy covered rocks and sliding down them. We also go hunting for waterfalls, so you can see the picture there, the children all sat on a ledge, and then we go crawling through waterfalls. A couple of years ago there was a slightly different gorge walking group, as you can see on the bottom right there, where they went exploring abandoned tunnels, which was really exciting for that group. Also, other activities, there is a castle in the village which we walk up to and have a look around, and then there's a campfire one of the evenings. Kit list. Now on the right is the generic one that I've sent out previously. On the left is things I've listed that I would recommend. So I'm going to quickly skip through them. So you need at least 4 full sets of clothing. I recommend probably 5, maybe 6, because as you've just read, the 3 middle days are all water-based activities. So they will get wet. Loads of underwear, because again, they're going to get wet caving. They're going to get damp caving. They're going to get wet gorge walking. They're going to get wet paddle boarding. So plenty of underwear. I tend to take 2 pairs of trainers. One very old. It does not matter if it gets ruined because the children will be submerged. The gorge walking, they will be up to their waist at least. The paddle boarding up to their waist. So one set of trainers will get submerged, and then I've got a slightly better pair of trainers for the hill walking and for the general activities in the evening around the site itself. I do take walking boots, but they're not essential. If you've got them, great. If you haven't, don't worry about buying any ones, especially for this. I've put tight t-shirts and swimming costumes as well, because, like I said, a couple of the trips are away from the site, and so we are given things like boiler suits to wear for caving, and we're given wetsuits for gorge walking, but they're really uncomfortable to travel in. So what tends to happen is we roll the tops down so the arms and top half are free of the wetsuit, and so the children will need a t-shirt. Some children don't like the feel of the wetsuit, so a really tight t-shirt that they can wear underneath is sometimes used. But basically, a good number of set of clothes that you're happy to get quite wet and dirty. £10 spending money. I referenced earlier on about stopping at the services. So there is a very, very small shop at Longtown, and so I recommend maybe £5 and then £5 for the services as well. Obviously, the children can bring as much or as little as they like, but anything they bring is the child's responsibility. I'm not carrying around 28 sets of £10 notes in my pocket for the children. It's too hard to track, and this is all about children growing up and being independent. Sun cream and a hat are an absolute must, especially the day that we're on site. The stand-up paddle boarding and the high ropes are in a real sun trap. They're at the bottom of a hill in a dip down by the river. It's a sun trap, and it is likely that there is going to be good weather, so please pack sun cream and hat. A very thin waterproof is useful in case there's a shower. Children will definitely need a sleeping bag and a pillow. Some warm PJs, and in the evening it does get really, really cold. Once the sun goes down over the hill, it does get cold. So things like hoodies or just big hoodies, fluffy jackets, whatever they need to stay warm, because it does get cold. Once we've had our evening meal and done our evening activity, there is a small bit of downtime, and that is quite chilly, so please send something that children can wrap up warm in. 2 towels I've put there. One towel goes on the excursions and we just towel down before we jump back on the minibus, so be prepared that one towel is probably going to get a little bit dirty, and then there's a second towel which stays on site for the hopefully daily showers. Please remember basic toiletries, don't bring a toilet brush, toothbrush, toothpaste, shower gel, or whatever the children use. A couple of bin bags are always useful for once there's been a wet activity. Children hang their clothes up in the drying room, but sometimes by the Friday they're not completely dry, so it's good to have bin bags to put the real wet and dirty stuff in to transport home, just to keep it separate within the suitcase. Torch. Some children like to read at night, some like to have the torch for a little bit of like a safety at night. That's absolutely fine. Pack one, that's brilliant, as long as it doesn't turn into some sort of nightclub in the tents with the torches going on and off repeatedly. Sweets and snacks, absolutely. This is the children's, it's not normal school rules, so yeah, feel free to bring some Haribo, little packets of Haribo, maybe some Pringles, for example. Things that you can reseal or put a lid on are the best. But obviously don't go over the top, because we don't want to spoil meal times, and I certainly don't want children being sick on a minibus ride because they've had 4 packets of Haribo for breakfast. I'd mentioned that there's a little bit of downtime, so feel free to bring travel games. Again, this is all the children's responsibility, so preferably not the family size Monopoly, but the little travel games are absolutely fine. Colouring, we've had loom bands last year, we had a spa, as you probably saw last year as well, so bring something for evening entertainment. Flip-flop, sandals, Crocs, those sorts of things are really useful for around the campsite in the evening, or children waking up in the middle of the night wanting to needing the loo. They can slip them on and off they go. They are quite useful. I bring mine for the campsite, and I've put their water bottle, so one with a bit sturdy that will last the whole week. The return leg, when unfortunately, yes, we do come home. We aim to leave after the hill walk around about 12 o'clock. So again, with the 4 hour travel time, we should be back in school about 4 to 4:30, but we will obviously be in contact if there is any major delays. And finally, as part of the pre-trip medical list and dietary requirements, I will be sending out a separate questionnaire about photo consent. Sometimes the centre like to use really good photos, but also for us to use on our school website. Also on EduLink, please check the emergency contact details are correct, because that is the reference I'll be using should there be an emergency. For your reference, the nearest hospitals, there's an A&E at Hereford Hospital and the Grange, a brand new one in South Wales. And for much minor things, there is Neville Hall in Abergavenny. I will try and do daily updates, but the Wi-Fi at the centre is patchy at best. So it might be me sending some photos to the office and them updating in the morning, but I'll try my best to update you as we go. And the big question the children keep asking is about electrical devices. There's nowhere to plug them in. There's no signal. So no electrical devices, and certainly nothing that can take a photo, because once we've zipped up in the tents, I am putting a lot of trust in the children. So from a safeguarding point of view, I don't want anything that can take a photo. And now some of the questions that were sent in by parents prior to the meeting, I'll just go through very quickly. Whatever your evening routine is, that's absolutely fine. If you read a book before bed, your child reads a book before bed, that's fine. If they do some doodling, that's absolutely fine. If they listen to an audiobook, again, just whatever their routine is, we will try and accommodate it. This is meant to be a week away of fun, challenging themselves as well, but it is meant to be, ultimately, it is all about having some fun. Someone's asked about bringing games for downtime. That's absolutely fine, but again, the children are responsible and they need to fit in either the suitcase or in the bag that the children bring onto the actual bus itself. I've already referenced about snacks, so hopefully I've covered that. It does say there some sausage rolls are very appreciated. Tent allocation will be sorted closer to the time. Children tend to put 3 or 4 names down on a post-it note, and then I try and put together the world's hardest jigsaw. But normally I get most of the people they've asked to be with are in their tent. Normally not a problem. Food portions. Some people asked about being on medication that suppresses appetite. That's absolutely fine. What we can do, we've had this before, we can take a few extra snacks from breakfast, so the children have got something to eat mid-morning, or just put a few extra snacks in for lunch, because we understand that some children just don't eat breakfast because of the medication, and that's absolutely fine. And then in the evening, I've already referenced that food portions are plentiful. There's no way they're going hungry in the evening. And the staff going, myself, Miss Minnie and Mr. Minnie. So a wonderful trio, if I do say so myself. But obviously with myself and Miss Minnie being in class with the children all year, we know the children inside out. But also Mr. Minnie is well known to the children because he's in charge of the mugger at lunchtime, but he's also working throughout the school from reception right way through to year 6. So he is well known and he's all up to speed with the school expectations. There's one, we understand that as girls are getting older, they might have, they're growing up and they might become on their period and things like that. This isn't the first time it's happened. It's not a problem. We have had in the past, the centre are really good for this. So if there are problems and we need to wash sleeping bags or blankets or whatever, they're really good at whipping them out in the morning while we're at breakfast, and before before lunchtime, they're back in our tents, all clean, dry. The centre are superb for these sorts of things. They are well equipped. I want to reassure any girls going that they are not the first person. Don't be shy. If there's something that they need help with, please do come and talk to a member of staff. Supervision was a couple of people asked about supervision. So meal times. Due to creature of habits, children tend to sit in the same spot. So once Monday evening's meal, we'll put children in their tables, and that's the table for the week. Supervision through the week of the activities is we're in 3 groups, so there'll be a member of staff with each group, plus a member of staff from the centre as well. So they'll be in groups of 9 or 10. So from about 9 o'clock to about 4:30, the 3 groups don't actually see one another. Then in the evening, the children are only allowed on the camping area, which is monitored by members of staff. We have picnic tables which we park ourselves at in a central point, which allows us to see the whole camping area. The children know where's out of bounds and where they can and can't go from the first day's safety walk. And it's all monitored by the staff.